Merry Christmas, Super Sleuths. I'm Gumshu, and ever since I was a kid, I've hated meteorologists. They always get things wrong, and I don't think it's fair that they get things wrong constantly and keep their jobs. Also, I'll be your Deck Detective. Deck Detective is a series in which every week I play and discuss a new deck. This week we're looking at Weather Painters, a series of continuous spell traps that give weather monsters in the same or adjacent columns different effects, and Weather Painter monsters that help manage and enable these spell traps. They are an unorthodox and hard to interact with advantage engine and control deck that play very nicely with some powerful floodgates. And with newly released support in Mysterious Labyrinth, they have more options for boss monsters and a much quicker way to access them. Without further ado, let's get into the deck list. Here's the list. Sorry if you threw up a little, and no, it's not getting better next week. I know, Floodgates cringe, but it's not my fault, it's what Konami keeps putting out. So let's go ahead and talk about the deck list. First, we'll go ahead and talk about the Weather Painter monsters. We're playing 3 Snow, 3 Cloud, 3 Thunder, and 1 Aurora. Snow is the best normal summon in the deck. On normal summon, it gets to place a Weather spell trap from your deck face up in your spell trap zone. And then all Weather Painter monsters have this effect. Once per turn, during the standby phase of the turn after this card was banished from the field to activate a weather card's effect, you can special summon this banished card. So if you banish it on your turn, you can then, on the opponent's standby phase, summon it back to banish it again with a weather canvas's effect. Cloud has the effect if another face-up weather card you control is sent to the graveyard. You can target up to 2 with the weather spell traps in the graveyard, place them face-up in your spell trap zone. So if you use them for a link summon for a Weather Painter monster, you can use Cloud to place them back as if they had never left. 3 Thunder, this has the effect that you can send a face-up continuous spell trap you control in the graveyard to place a weather spell trap from your deck face-up in your spell trap zone. Note that it does not have to be a weather continuous spell trap you send for its effect. And finally, an Aurora, which has the effect that weather spell traps cannot be controlled, destroyed, or targeted by your opponent's card effects while you control them. Next up, the Weather Spell Traps. 3, the Weather Forecast. This is one of the new cards in the deck. This card is amazing on activation. It places the Weather Spell Trap from your deck and face up in your spell trap zone. If you link summon the Weather monster, you can also use the face up the Weather cards in your spell trap zone as the Weather monsters for its link summon. And then during your main phase, you can normal summon an additional Weather monster. This card is insane played at 3 with the terraforming. We also have the Weather Snowy Canvas. You can banish the weather monster you control to add the weather card from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot add cards from your deck to your hand except for the rest of this turn except by drawing them. So basically, you can only use this with 1 monster per turn if you actually plan to add something from your deck to your hand. We also are playing 2 Rainy. You can banish this card, card being the weather monster, and target 1 spell trap your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Playing a Thundery Canvas during damage calculation, or at the start of damage step, sorry. This card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish the card to return the opponent's monster to the hand. And then Rainbow Canvas, if your opponent controls a monster, you can banish the card to special summon the weather monster with a different name from your deck. Also cannot special summon other monsters from the deck for the rest of the turn. Staple cards, we're playing 6 Hand Traps, 3 Ash Blossom, and 3 Dimension Shifter. Dimension Shifter, one of the best hand traps ever printed. And it's this that can play it, so we are playing it. Consistency cards, 3 Pure Riz Map. At the start of your main phase 1, you can add a monster with 0 attack from your deck to your hand, but have your life points. But you cannot activate its effects unless you normal summon the card. So this card is... you can replace this with a couple different consistency cards. You can also play Pot of Duality or Pot of Extravagance, your choice. But I just love getting access to the Weather Painter Snow, so I like playing this card. And then the Pot of Prosperity, amazing consistency booster. Playing some generic Floodgates, 3-dimensional Fissure, 2 Skill Drain, and 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance. And then we're also playing 2 Called by the Grave to round out the deck list. In the extra deck, we have a Zeus Lion, Fortune Tune, down in Magician Zeus, playing 1 of every Charmer except Area, 3 Weather Painter Rainbow. Your opponent would special summon a monster. Quick effect, you can send this link summon card to the graveyard and negate the summon, and if you do, show that card. Monsters, let's turn this standby phase of this card. After this card is banished, it can summon itself back. And then the important one, the weather effect monsters this card points to gain the following effect. When a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can banish the card, negate the activation if you do, destroy that card. So this can give up to 3 negates on your turn if all the arrows are pointing towards the weather monsters. A Unicorn, an Access Code Talker, and 2 the Weather Painter Moonbow, another new card added to Mysterious Labyrinth. This card is link summoned. You can special summon one of your banished the weather monsters. If this link summon card is destroyed, you can special summon the Weather Painter Rainbow from your extra deck. And then monsters it points to gain the effect. You can banish this card, then target one monster your opponent controls, banish it till the standby phase of the next turn. Now that we've done the card by card, let's play some games. We'll play 2 games, one in which I win at a commentate over, and one in which I lose at a commentate over. The game is afoot. Let's get painting. Our first game is up against Runic, and this does a pretty good job at showing what you're trying to do with Weather Painter. They go first and start off with a Runic Destruction, summoning Hugin to the EMZ so they can discard a TC Boo and search Runic Fountain. They go ahead and activate the Fountain, they set 2 cards, and then they pass to us. For turn, we draw an Ash Blossom, really nice draw, and I start with Puri Res Map, which has to be activated at the start of main phase 1. They chain Destruction, which is a questionable move on their part, but it gets them drawing Runic cards, I guess. It resolves, and I search Snow, then lose half my life points. They attempt to use Fountain to draw 2, but I Ash the Fountain, hopefully leaving them with no more Runic cards to interrupt me. While that resolves, Ash negates the Runic Fountain, and then the Runic Fountain resolves negated. We use Prosperity, hoping to see what more I can dig up before I start my plays. There's Rainbowed, Snow, a lot of okay ones, but then at the end we search the Weather Forecast, which I happily take. We activate Forecast to place Rainy, keeping in mind any pesky floodgates our opponent might have, and then we finally act normal Snow, using their effect to place Rainbowed. Snow effect inherited from Rainy to bounce back the back row, set Anti-Spell Fragrance, and pass. They draw, and I immediately activate Anti-Spell. If they don't have an out to this, they've lost. Standby, we get a Snow back, and then we go into main phase, where they normal summon a Mono Iwado. Normally a very big problem for them to have a Mono in rotation, but they have to link it away to make Nightmare Phoenix to out our Anti-Spell. They set a card and pass, and then in end phase, we use Rainbowed, banishing Snow to summon Cloud, then use Rainy, banishing Cloud to bounce Fountain. For turn, we draw the Weather Forecast, but at this point, we've got everything we need. Standby, we summon back Snow, then use Rainbowed, banishing Snow to summon Aurora, then Aurora effect with Rainy to bounce the back row. After that, we use Cloud effect and banish to bring itself back, and then we move to main phase where we link summon using all 3 of our canvas cards, summoning the Weather Painter Rainbow, which will give us up to 3 negates on our opponent's turn. Then we use Cloud effect to bring back Rainbowed and Rainy canvas. We activate the spare Snowy in hand, then we move to battle phase and clear the opponent's board while swinging in for a total of 2,000 damage. After that, we pass turn to our opponent. They draw, and in standby phase, we get Aurora back, and then Snow back. And with that, that's 3 negates for 3 cards. They know they can't win, so they concede. The advantage insurmountable for them to overcome. That was fun. Now let's get destroyed. They go first, but we have the FTK, Dimension Shifter. They go to main and activate Wisdom Eye Magician. Oh, never mind. They activate Purple Poison, and I go ahead and activate the Shifter anyway. It resolves, no called by for them, but they don't really need to stop it anyway. They activate Wisdom Eye to place Double Iris, then activate the Valance field spells, using Shinra to summon Purple Poison, then using Instant Fusion to summon Nightingale, Shifter probably saving us from getting FDK'd. They put in a free 500 damage, then make a Link 2, Beyond the Pendulum. Beyond the Pendulum effect, searching Astrograph from their deck for the low scale, scaling Astrograph, and then Pen summoning Harmonizing Magician. Which, I'll be honest, is one of the most terrifying things they could Pendulum summon. They summon Celestial Magician, then use the 2 materials to make Time Star Magician. Time Star effect to add Skullcrabat Joker, which they then proceed to normal summon on resolution. Skullcrabat effect, searching Purple Poison Magician. Astrograph effect to pop itself to summon Stargazer, then they use Joker and Stargazer to summon Heavy Metal Foe's Electromite. Electromite effect to place Pensork, then Electromite effect to pop Double Iris and add Pensork. Then they use Double Iris effect in chain with Heavy Metal Foe's Electromite's mandatory draw effect to go ahead and search Time Pendulum Graph. They use Electromite and Beyond to make a 2-mat Appaloosa. Set Time Pendulum Graph, scale Purple Poison, and pass. Through Shifter, they have 4 interruptions. Return, we draw an Ash, and we have an easy out to Appaloosa and Thunder if we could just bait out Time Pendulum Graph. To try and do that, we use Terraforming to search Forecast, then use Forecast over the Valence Field spell, hoping they'll pop Forecast with Time, which they don't, and with that we're screwed. We play Snowy, normal Thunder, and go into battle phase, where we try to beat over Appaloosa, but they use Time to threaten to pop Thunder. We use Thunder effect with Snowy, they use Appaloosa to negate, then use Time Star to protect Purple Poison, so they can send Snowy to the graveyard by Time's additional destruction effect. We activate Rainy, set Called By, and pass to our opponent. In Standby, we try to use Thunder effect to come back, but they Appaloosa negate that too, which leaves us with no Weather Painter monsters on board, and at this point, we've lost. They use Time Star to search, but we have the Ash to stop it. So no search for them. All that resolves. Ash Blossom negates the Time Star Magician, but they're okay. They use Time Pendulum Graph, targeting Purple Poison, and the Called By. We use the Called By to target the Harmonizing Magician, hoping to stop them from doing anything too bad to us. But it's not really a big deal for them, as they protect Purple Poison and dump another Harmonizing Magician, keeping a Spellcaster in their graveyard so that they can use Selene to bring it back. And at this point, when we feel Pensork, we know we're screwed. They OTK us through a long line, and shows that Weather Painters can be fragile and don't have much of a going second game plan. We're back, and this deck is fine. While Imagine It had been cool, the deck still feels slow. We've done our investigation, now let's get into the closing argument. Verdicts are the same as usual. Going by predicted expected ranking, Law-Abiding Nursing Home Resident is below Platinum, Harmless Delinquent is Platinum, Lone Wolf is low Diamond, while Public Enemy number 1 is Diamond 1. Now for Judgment, Weather Painter. The deck has some strengths. The new support is amazing for the deck, while Moonbow is kind of mid. Forecast is the best card in the deck, and I pity anyone who tried to play this deck without it. With really good hands, it allows you to have good boards without any out-of-engine help. The unorthodox way the deck plays allows for some really amazing floodgates and hand traps. Getting to play Skill Drain, Anti-Spell, and Shifter is a big help for the deck. And finally, the Advantage Engine is annoying, hard to stop if it gets going, and fairly resistant to hand traps. If your Snowy name gets ashed, you can just bring it back next turn and do it again. And now for the weaknesses. Without a really good hand, it doesn't actually do anything on its own. It relies on floodgates to get to a point where it can make big rainbow setups, which are inconsistent and hard to get value out of going second. It has basically no going second plan outside of Shifter. It doesn't really have monster removal, and the spell traps are susceptible to being bullied by your opponent. And finally, Snow is the only Weather Painter that you'd actually want to open. You have to open combinations of cards that alone don't do much, making the deck brick sometimes. All in all, it's a fun gimmick, but can't hang with the top echelon of decks. That's why this deck is getting a Harmless Delinquent. Thank you for watching. If you would like more guidance on how to make this deck work from people who have played the deck more than me, I highly recommend the Weather Painter Discord server in the R Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype repository, or the Weather Painter channel in the Master Duel Meta Discord server. If you liked this video, consider liking and subscribing to me. Also comment below what you liked, what you think needs improvement, or tell me my list was garbage. Also, check me out on Twitter, where I follow other VTubers and Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, as well as post updates and my thoughts, as well as Twitch, where I stream Master Duel rank climbs, other Master Duel or Yu-Gi-Oh! Related content, and other games. Also, if you would like to discuss my content or Yu-Gi-Oh! In general with other like-minded people, consider joining my Discord, linked in the description. Thank you, and have a good day.